Transport for London provide the British Transport Police with £85 million a year. As chairman of TfL, how do you and your team ensure that Londoners are getting value for money from that?
It's a really important question. So, we also have TfL also has an arrangement with Metropolitan Police Service, which there's remuneration involved in relation to services above and beyond that normally the MPS would provide. So the Commissioner of TfL, through his team, will check the service provided by BTP and MPS, will check the service provided by TfL's own enforcement officers, and ensure, sorry it sounds crude, but that we get value for money as a client, if you like, as TfL. It's not different to other people who use BTP or MPS services. Heathrow Airport, for example, is I use the word invoiced by MPS for some additional security advice the MPS provides, and that's quite normal across the country.
Are you satisfied with the amount of public accountability that the British Transport Police are scrutinised by?
Yeah, I think the current system where the Transport Secretary, where there's a BTP authority, works is really well. The Chief Constable happens to be a former Met Police officer, which helps, and we know very well. And so the relationship is very good. Not just the support, but the way that the BTP is held to account. You'll appreciate there are a number of agencies we work with. There are separate systems of accountability for each of them, and to a large extent, we're going to trust the process, and the process works. And I'm confident there's no issues that have come to my attention that leads me to believe that the system doesn't work with the BTP.
Yeah, and building on that, for my final question then, is around the relationship with how the BTP works, especially how it's funded compared to other police forces. And as we mentioned earlier about the overstretching of the BTP in regards of what their various different things are. So thinking solely about policing on the trains themselves to improve the police presence on our public transport network, because I think many Londoners right now don't particularly feel safe on the transport network. There's a number of concerns about safety at stations like London Victoria. And I just wondered your views on whether we should be looking at whether the policing of the trains themselves should be devolved to London to be carried out either by the Met or by a London Transport Police.
Well, if transport in London stayed in London, there'd be an argument for the policing of transport in London to be done by specific London police force or police service, but it doesn't. And you mentioned a station where the trains come in from outside London, so you can see the joined upness. I'll give you an example: football games. When there's fans coming into London and fans going out of London, BTP are on the trains often. Often they're covert, you won't know they're there. To give you an idea of crime on the underground, for every 1 million journeys, there's about 15 reports of a crime. So it's a low crime environment. And the BTP are one of the reasons why it's a low crime environment. Of course, in the perfect world, we'd want another 3,000 BTP officers, and they all be in London. But I can understand the pressure of resources where they've got to be used elsewhere. I think we got a good deal. Think about counter-terror, think about big events in London, think about the work they're doing on Vogue. I want to thank them for the work they do